and welcome to the Q Lounge Live. Hi, I am your host, Shady Grooove, joined by my co-host at intheMatrixxx. It is just after 7 p.m. on the West Coast, 10 p.m. on the East Coast. It is Friday night. This is America. This is our republic. We stand for her. We stand for liberty. We stand for freedom. Thanks so much for everyone coming around and joining us tonight. Welcome anyone out there who may be new to Q. If you are new to Q, thanks for joining us. This is an amazing group you will find here tonight. Thanks to all the moderators joining us in the chat that are here to bring you sauce and answer questions and to stand up for liberty and to answer the call. We have all answered the call here, guys, a year and a half in of the Q dissemination project, and look at you guys. Look at the deep state on the run. Look at you guys coming around to the conversation, bringing so much pain and energy and love and light to this wonderful, wonderful nation and to our wonderful, wonderful president. And just to say right off the top, our wonderful co-host, my partner in justice at intheMatrixxx, joining me out there tonight. Sir, please come in and join all these other Anons tonight. How are you today?
Wow, I'm doing amazing. Had an amazing day today. Ups and downs, but a lot of ups. And today's show to me was very special. And I hope you guys all enjoyed that. Severe Anon did message me, and he's appreciative of each and every one of you. And what a touching show that was, Shady. I didn't intend it to be, but it ended up being one. You Patriots came through for a Patriot that needed your help and inspiration.
Absolutely. Earlier today on the Matrixxx Groove Hour, we had Severe Anon there with us, and wow, what a show we had, and what a real a spectacle of unity that we're seeing out there in the Q community. Everyone is kind of waded through the people that are being opposition. We know where they're at now. We know where they're all stemming from, and these guys out here are uniting together under one cause. And this is this is part of what you and I are doing, is bringing voices to the conversation, amplifying the voices of the conversation. And this has been another amazing week. It's been a couple weeks since I've been here, and what a run we've been on Matrixxx. We've been doing the Matrixxx Groove Hour every day at 1 p.m. If you guys haven't been checking us out, please do. And man, I really enjoy being on the air and talking about what the president wants us to talk about every day, because it seems like we barely get through what's going on.
There's not enough time in the day. I mean, it's called the Matrixxx Groove Hour, Shady, but I think we might have to rename it to Matrixxx Groove Show,
right?
Because we are not bound by any time constraints. It doesn't matter. We just go where the flow takes us, and there's so much news out there to cover. We can't get it all, but boy, we sure do try.
Yeah, we sure do. And the president's given us so much that we need to be paying attention to. And today was not a letdown. We're going to dive into some of the stuff that the president was pointing us to here in a little bit. We're also going to talk about some of the Q posts. The Q posts have been just a couple the past couple of weeks, but very direct and pointing to our previous quote-unquote Manchurian president that we had, 44. And we are really taking it to him. His little games and tricks are just about over, guys. So with that, I want to start the conversation tonight with you guys, because I felt like what we've been talking about for so long now, and what the conversation is, and now we're really starting to solidify where we all are at in this, and how we're going to start talking to normal people who don't understand Q, who don't understand what's going on with Mueller. Since we were here, the whole Mueller report has been released. There's no collusion. We had the beautiful no collusion day, and everyone out there knows that's paying attention to politics that something's dead in the woodshed, as they say. There's something rotten, and they want us to get to the bottom of it, us being the investigators out there. So we have Devin Nunes, we have multiple other of the representatives really starting to dig in on this stuff and tell you the truth, which is that we had a attempted coup against a duly elected president by the previous opposition political campaign. It really isn't much more complicated.
Shady, what's a coup? What is that? What does that mean? That sounds so, tame. What is actually a coup?
A coup means the military overthrow of a duly elected official. So someone who was elected by the people attempted to be usurped by the intelligence slash military arm of the government to attempt to put who the government wants in place, not who the people put in place. It's a really old system, Matrixx. It kind of goes back to every single system before America. It's kind of common.
Right, right. So, this could include attempts to, take out the president, for lack of a better term. Right. This is no joke. The gravity of what the word coup means is a lot heavier than when the mainstream, oh, it's just the coup. They make it sound so tame. It is not tame. It is a sharp word. It means something very serious.
When he
And
uses
Q says, "Do you understand the gravity of this situation?"
when he uses the word coup, what he is saying is treason. That is what he's saying.
Bingo.
He's not mincing words when he says the word coup, and the media doesn't spin it to the proper definition, which is treason against a duly elected official, a duly elected president by the American people. And so we find ourselves in this extremely unusual situation here in America. And so tonight I'm going to bore, I may bore some people with this tonight, but we're going to start off with what I would consider a little bit of a history lesson here. Now, this goes back to, I'm going to read you some excerpts from a book that was published in 1971. And this book was called None Dare Call It Conspiracy. Okay? And within this book, there is some very, very interesting stuff here that I want to read to you guys to help give you some tools so other people can better understand what it is you're talking about whenever we're talking about socialism, whenever we're talking about deep state, whenever we're talking about the way the media controls you. Now, mind you, this book was written in 1971, okay? I'm going to start here. Don't confuse me with facts. Most of us had the experience either as parents or youngsters of trying to discover the hidden picture within another picture in a children's magazine. Usually you are shown a landscape with trees, bushes, flowers, and other bits of nature. Caption reads something like this. Concealed somewhere in the picture is a donkey pulling a cart with a boy in it. Can you find them? Try as you might. Usually you could not find the hidden picture until you turned to a page further back in the magazine which would reveal how cleverly the artist had hidden it from us. If we studied the landscape, we realized that the whole picture was painted in such a way as to conceal the real picture within. And once we see the real picture, it stands out like the proverbial painful digit. We believe the picture painters of the mass media are artfully creating landscapes for us, which deliberately hide the real picture. In this book, we will show you how to discover the hidden picture in the landscapes presented to us daily through newspapers, radio, and television. Once you can see through the camouflage, you will see the donkey, the cart, the boy who've been there all along. Millions of Americans are concerned and frustrated over mishappenings in our nation. They feel that something is wrong, drastically wrong. But because of the picture painters, they can't quite put their fingers on it. Maybe you are one of those persons. Something is bugging you, but you aren't sure what. We keep electing new presidents who seemingly promise faithfully to halt the worldwide communist advance, put the blocks to extravagant government spending, douse the tea of inflation, put the economy on an even keel, reverse the trend which is turning the country into a moral sewer, and toss the criminals into the hoosegow where they belong. Yet despite high hopes and glittering campaign promises, these problems continue to worsen no matter who is in office. Each new administration, whether it be Republican or Democrat, continues the same basic policies of the previous administration, which it had so thoroughly denounced during the election campaign. It is considered poor form to mention this, but it is true nonetheless. Is there a plausible reason to explain why this happens? We are not supposed to think so. We are supposed to think it is all accidental and coincidental, and that therefore there is nothing we can do about it. FDR once said, in politics, nothing happens by accident. If it happens, you can bet it was planned that way. He was in a good position to know. We believe that many of the major world events that are shaping our destinies occur because somebody or somebodies have planned them that way. If we were merely dealing with the law of averages, half of the events affecting our nation well-being should be good for America. If we're dealing with mere incompetence, our leaders should occasionally make a mistake. in our favor. We shall attempt to prove that are not really dealing with coincidences or stupidity, but with planning and brilliance. This small book deals with the planning and brilliance and how it has shaped the foreign and domestic policy of the last 6 administrations, and we hope it will explain the matters which have up to now seemed inexplicable, and that will bring into sharp focus images which have been obscured by the landscape painters of the mass media. Now, this book was written in 1971, published in 1971. And that's a little bit of the overview of what the book goes into to talk about. But what I want to get into here is an explanation about what is socialism and what is communism and what does it mean to us specifically. What does it mean to our way of life or the way life used to be? So here, right here, number 2, very interesting. Talking about socialism, the royal road to the power for the super rich. And we skip down here. It is difficult for the average individual to fathom such perverted lust for power. A typical person of whatever nationality wants only to enjoy success in his job, to be able to afford a reasonably high standard of living, complete with leisure and travel. He wants to provide for his family in sickness and in health, and to give his children a sound education. His ambition stops there. He has no desire to exercise power over others, to conquer other lands or peoples, to be a king. He wants to mind his own business and enjoy life. Since he has no lust for power, it is difficult for him to imagine that there are others who have, others who march to a far different drum. But we must realize that there have been Hitlers and Lenins and Stalins and Caesars and Alexanders the Greats throughout history. Why should we assume there are no such men today with perverted lust for power? And if these men happen to be billionaires, as it is not possible that they would use men like Hitler and Lenin as pawns to seize power for themselves. Indeed, difficult as it is to believe such is the case, like Columbus, we are faced with this task of convincing you that the world is not flat as you have been led to believe all your life, but instead is round. We're going to present evidence that what you call communism is not run from Moscow or Peking, but is an arm of a bigger conspiracy run from New York, London, and Paris. The men at the apex of this movement are not communists in the traditional sense of that term. They feel no loyalty to Moscow or Peking. They are loyal only to themselves and their undertaking, and these men certainly do not believe in the claptrap pseudo-philosophy of communism. They have no intention of dividing their wealth. Socialism is a philosophy which conspirators exploit, but in which only the naive believe. Just how finance capitalism is used as an anvil and communism as the hammer to conquer the world will be explained in this book. The concept of communism is but an arm of a larger conspiracy has become increasingly apparent throughout the author's journalistic investigation. He has had the opportunity to interview privately 4 retired officers who spent their careers high in military intelligence. Much of what the author knows he learned from them, and the story is known to thousands of others. High military, advanced, or intelligence circles are well aware of the network. In addition to the author, has interviewed 6 men who have spent considerable time as investigators for congressional committees. In 1953, one of them, Norman Dodd, headed a Reese Committee investigation. You can believe anything you want about communism except that it is a conspiracy run by men from the respectable world. People will often say to an active anti-communist, I can understand your concern with communism, but the idea that a communist conspiracy is making great inroads in the United States is absurd. The American people are anti-communist. They're not about to buy communism. It's understandable to be concerned about communism in Africa, Asia, South America, with their tremendous poverty and ignorance and disease. But to be concerned about communism in the United States, where the vast majority of people have no sympathy with it whatsoever, is a misspent concern. On the face of it, that is a very logical and plausible argument. The American people are indeed anti-communist. Suppose you were to lay this book down right now, pick up a clipboard, and head for the nearest shopping center to conduct a survey on Americans' attitudes about communism. Sir, you say, the first prospect, we would like to know if you are for or against communism. And most people would probably think that you are putting them on. If we stick to our survey, we would find that 90% of the people are anti-communist. We probably would be hard to find anybody who would take the affirmative stance for communism. This is not true today, by the way. So on the surface, it appears that the charges made against anti-communists concerned with the internal threat of communism are valid. The American people are not pro-communist. But before our imaginary interviewee walks away in disgust with what he believes is a hokey survey, you add, sir, before you leave, there are a couple other questions I would like to ask. You won't find these quite so insulting or ludicrous. Your next question is, what is communism? Will you define it, please? And immediately a whole new situation has developed. Rather than their near unanimity previously found, we now have an incredible diversity of ideas. There are a multitude of opinions on what communism is. Some will say, oh yes, communism, well that's a tyrannical brand of socialism. Others will maintain communism, as it was originally intended by Karl Marx, was a good idea, but it has never been practiced and the Russians have loused it all up. A more erudite type might proclaim communism is simply a rebirth of Russian imperialism. If perchance one of the men you ask to define communism happens to be a political science professor from the local college, he might well reply, you can't ask what is communism. That is a totally simplistic question about an extremely complex situation. Communism today, quite unlike the view held by the right-wing extremists in America, is not an international monolithic movement. Rather, it is a polycentric, fragmented, nationalistic movement driving its character through the charismas of the various national leaders. Well, of course, there is the wielding of the Hegelian dialectics. With the Formexian materialism held in common by the Communist Party, generally it is a monumental oversimplification of, or to ask, what is communism? Instead, you should ask, what is the communism of Mao Zedong? What is the communism of Ho Chi Minh, or Fidel Castro, or Marshal Tito? If you think we're being facetious, you haven't talked to any political science professors lately, and for the above, the prevailing view on our campuses, not to mention our State Department. Whether you agree or disagree with any of these definitions, or as many, or may well be the case, you have one of your own, one thing is undeniable. No appreciable segment of the anti-communist American public can agree on just what it is that they are against. Isn't that frightening? Here we have something that almost everybody agrees is bad, but we cannot agree on just what it is we're against. How would this work in a football game? For example, can you imagine how effective the defense of a football team would be if the front four could not agree with the linebackers, who could not agree with the cornerbacks, who could not agree with the safety men, who could not agree with the assistant coaches, who could not agree with the head coach as to what kind of defense they should put up against the offense being presented? The obvious result would be chaos. You could take a sandlot team and successfully pit them against the Green Bay Packers if the Packers couldn't agree on what it is they are opposing. That is academic. The first principle in any encounter, whether it be football or war, hot or cold, is know your enemy. The American people do not know their enemy. Consequently, it is not strange at all that for 3 decades we have been watching one country of the world after another fall behind a communist curtain. In keeping with the fact that almost everybody seems to have his own definition of communist, we are going to give you ours, and then we'll attempt to prove to you that it is the only valid one. Communism, an international conspiratorial drive for power on the part of men in high places, willing to use any means to bring about their desired aim, global conquest. Now, I'm going to stop there, and I wanted to introduce this to you. This book is called None Dare Call It Conspiracy. I have the PDF for it right here for you guys. But this is very, very important for our conversation that you're getting ready to have with people who think that they know because they've been through school or other different aspects of their reality what communism and socialism is. And what we as Q people say is that socialism is communism for dummies. And we stand by that. And the reason that we stand by that is because what communism means is the state is in charge and the state owns everything. And socialism is a absolute mirror of that. And they'll stand there. They've been going on now. You've watched Bernie Sanders. You've watched all of these other people tout globalist, communist things to you. Things like we're going to get rid of the Electoral College. Well, is there an Electoral College anywhere else in the world that is implemented per Constitution? We're going to lower the voting age to 16, but we're going to take away your right to own a gun? What is communism? Communism is that is to gain and maintain power. Very, very simple. And what you're witnessing right now with Q and you and all you beautiful anons out there and everybody that's coming to this great conversation is you're witnessing a fight against it. And you're witnessing a fight against it being spearheaded by your president, everyone. This is not by it's
not just Q, right?
It's not just by Q. Thank you. That's right. It's not just by Q. It's by all of us to stand up. I mean, you've got to understand that the kids that you've got in colleges, the kids that are out there in schools, they are being brainwashed into socialistic nonsense. And it was put up, on the platform a little bit in 2016 with all the momentum that Bernie got. Now it seems like a fad. So they've got, they have communism in a fad state in America right now, if you're not noticing this. That's what it is. And that's what we are all here to talk about. We're all here to try to get on the same page. And just like that little piece that I read to you said, if we can't agree with one another, then what good are we? What good are we? America is not divided, united, not divided. What does that mean? It has to mean this. It has to mean our system of government. It has to mean our system of thinking. It has to mean the way that we properly argue with one another over ideas. That is freedom. The freedom for me to say my ideas, and the freedom for you to say your ideas, and the freedom for me to fail at something that maybe you thought would fail. The freedom of that, not the restriction that says, no, you can't even try. You can't even start. Don't even attempt to start, okay? Because that is what you're being told. And that is what we are fighting, everyone. That is the idea that we are in this against. It isn't really much more complicated than that, but it is a control mechanism structure that goes back thousands of years. And America is an anomaly on the face of the world, in the face of the earth. And for all the people that I have witnessed since Mr. Trump got elected, stand around and say that America is not the greatest country in the world, and scream and yell and kick around on the ground and roll around and act a fool. I say go kick around on the ground, roll around, act like a fool in another country. See how far that gets you. See how long you last over there. Anywhere. Going to go to Canada? Go try it. Want to go to Mexico? Try to sneak into Mexico. What happens to you if you sneak into Mexico? 10 years in prison. That's what happens. When anybody can just wander their way right on in here. And then they're going to tell you this. They're going to tell you this nice little nugget right here. They're going to say diversity is your strength. I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Diversity is not your strength. Unity is your strength. Being able to communicate with each other is your strength. Being able to defend your property is your strength. Being able to stand in front of a judge and represent yourself would be represented as strength. All of your power has been removed from you surreptitiously over generations, and that was mapped out to a T to take them to end where we are or where we were before Mr. Trump won that election. It was planned out on generations. The past president was a Manchurian candidate who was groomed for that position to destroy, to undermine everything that is American, to undermine our systems here, to take advantage of you, take advantage of your good nature. And what did we defend? All of those rights, all those rights. God, my goodness, we get all these rights. We get the right to speak. We get the right to the free press. We get the right to attempt to be happy, to pursue it at least, right? What are you going to defend it with? Slingshot? Sir, you don't defend freedom with slingshots. So I felt this played right into what I wanted to talk about today, and I'm going to now move to the president speaking at the NRA, and I'm going to play you a couple different clips of this Matrixxx, because they were talking right, and this man, I mean, today he was talking right to me personally, and I think a lot of the anons that are in this crowd out here tonight, I think he was talking to you as well. So I want to play a little bit of this and sit back a second, listen to the wonderful person you elected as president of the United States.
Massive abuse of power known as Operation Choke Point. Under this ill-advised program, government bureaucrats discouraged banks from making loans to gun retailers, a backdoor attack on private gun ownership that will never be allowed to happen on my watch. That's step one, folks. Step one. You know what step 2, 3, and 4 is? Step 4 is you don't have guns. You don't have any way to protect yourself. Today, I'm proud to announce another historic step to protect your Second Amendment rights. And I didn't tell Chris and Wayne and Oliver, I didn't even tell them about it. So they're listening in this big room someplace and they're saying, I wonder what he's going to do. The good thing with me, you never know. Never know. That's why we're making trade deals that are so good for our country. So in the last administration, President Obama signed the UN Arms Trade Treaty. And in his waning days in office, he sent the treaty to the Senate to begin the ratification process. This treaty threatened your subjugate, and you know exactly what's going on here, your rights and your constitutional and international rules and restrictions and regulations. Under my administration, we will never surrender American sovereignty to anyone. We will never allow foreign bureaucrats to trample on your Second Amendment freedom. And that is why my administration will never ratify the UN Arms Trade Treaty. I hope you're happy. I'm impressed. I didn't think too many of you would really know what it is. You know what it is? A big factor. But I see a couple of very happy faces from the NRA over there. And I am officially announcing today that the United States will be revoking the effect of America's signature from this badly misguided treatment. We're taking our signature back. The United Nations will soon receive a formal notice that America is rejecting this treaty. As part of this decision, I will sign right now, in front of a lot of witnesses, a lot of witnesses, a message asking the Senate to discontinue the treaty ratification process and to return the now rejected treaty right back to me in the Oval Office, where I will dispose of it. By taking these actions, we are reaffirming that American liberty is sacred and that American citizens live by American laws, not the laws of foreign countries. Thank you.
Amazing.
That's my president right there, Shady.
That's my president right there. Watch him sign this right there in front of all these witnesses. Beautiful. America, strong. Unafraid. Look at that reception.
Oh, man. And I didn't get to see this today, Shady. Wow.
Pretty amazing right there. And I would really recommend everyone to go and watch all of this. I'm gonna fast forward it to another part at the very end because there were two pieces of this I could not walk away from. And if we're gonna get to anything, we got to get to paying attention to what this guy has said. This guy's saying a little more often. He brought up a couple people that were talking about defending themselves, and then he started talking here at the end and makes an amazing, just an amazing point here. If it'll play for me.
Thank you. Can't say it better than that. But I want to thank you all for your courage, because you're really living proof that law-abiding gun owners make a tremendous, tremendous difference. Tremendous difference. You know, Paris, France, they say has the strongest gun laws in the world. And you remember those maniacs when they went into the nightclub. I use this example. There are many examples. But they shot one person, another person, another person, another person. Hundreds of people dead and horribly wounded to this day. 5 years ago. If there was one gun being carried by one person on the other side, it very well could have been a whole different result. This shooting went on so long, and there wasn't a thing you could do about it. Get over here, boom. Get over here, boom. And then they left. They were captured later. If there was only one gun, if there were 2, 3, 4, it wouldn't have happened. Tiny percentage by comparison. But it probably wouldn't have happened, because the cowards would have known there are people in there having guns. It wouldn't have happened. So people don't really understand the other side of the argument. I have the debate a lot, and I win the debate all the time. And the next day you see the same person who was so badly defeated in the debate going out and saying the same thing. Even though he or she, I really believe, know that you can't justify their side of the argument. So gun owners make our communities safer, and they make our nation stronger. Americans have always understood this truth going back to the earliest days of our nation. 2 months before the American Revolution broke out, with the shot heard round the world, a group of patriots gathered along a bridge in Salem, Massachusetts. In the preceding months, British soldiers had confiscated muskets in Boston. You know the story well. Gunpowder was seized in Somerville, and the Patriots in Salem knew that the Redcoats would soon come for the town's cannons. But the Americans were prepared. They already loved our country, and they were determined to defend their rights to the death. When hundreds of British soldiers arrived at the bridge, the Americans stood firm, blocking their path. When swords were drawn, they didn't flinch. When the Redcoats tried to steal American boats, the Patriots sank those boats and sank them very quickly. Sold the tip of his bayonet against a man's chest. That man, Joseph Witcher, tore open his shirt and dared him to do his worst. Soon the crowd grew larger as civilians came from miles around to stand side by side with their great countrymen against tyranny. In the face of such unbreakable resolve, the king's soldiers had no choice but to admit defeat and failure and retreat. In the courageous actions of those early Americans, we see the defiant and determined spirit of patriotism that has always willed America to its greatest victories. It is a spirit that is passed down from generation to generation, from fathers and mothers to sons and daughters. It is the spirit that lives in each and every one of you. Our duty, our responsibility, our sacred charge is to preserve the freedoms that our ancestors gave their very lives to secure. Because no matter how many centuries go by, no matter how much the world changes, the central drama of human history remains the same. On one side are those who seek power, control, and domination. And on the other side are patriots like those in this hall who stand upright and plant their feet in eternal defense of our liberty. And with God as our witness, we swear today that we will defend our rights, we will safeguard our freedoms, we will uphold our heritage, we will protect our Constitution, and we will make America stronger, prouder, safer, and greater than ever, ever, ever before.
Wow. All I can say to that is unbelievable. Wow.
Shot heard around the world. Yeah.
Yeah, and talking about the spirit of who these people are, the people that are desiring power only, that are not of the quote human nature, and the rest of us as humanity, which is the line that we've been trying to we've been trying to make that more clear since the beginning of this, as Q has been giving us information and as we've all been finding each other, moving together in this movement. And with that, I wanted to just go into that overarching explanation, and I'd like to connect that real quick back to our current situation and what's going on in our nation, and what's going on with the discussion, and what's going on with quote unquote discord in general. That word, what does that word mean? Where does it apply to? Did we used to think that?
Discord.
Did we get discord sown among us? Do we stand out there in different arenas and platforms and make crap up to make it seem like it's important? Do you, Anons? Anybody out there deciding to sow discord by making crap up? I'm telling you right now, I know who you are, and you know who I'm talking to. And don't come to me one day in this movement and try to tell me you didn't do it. Because it is no different than what the powers that be that want power are attempting to do. I'm attempting to seam it up. I'm attempting to get us on the same page. I want us to communicate freely without interference and without a false narrative being inserted in my conversation for nothing other than attention, like a school child. We're not playing with school children here, everyone. This is real. Your country exists. The Constitution exists. You do not just get it because you were born. It is our job to stand up for it. It is our job to defend her. And taking shots and cutting people down and taking away from Q. Now, the people that are out there that are anti-Q, I get it. I get that they don't understand. But the people that are out there that are quote-unquote pro-Q and deciding that I can't attack the real enemy, so I'll attack those around me, well, your number has been marked, and we know. And that's what I need to say about that, because I am in the game of unity. I am in the game of freedom. I'm in the game of liberty. And that's what those people were in the game of a couple hundred years ago, whenever what he was describing in those events took place. Whenever they stood up against the tyrannical communists, controllers, power brokers, money changers, whatever you want to call them. It isn't a faith. It isn't a religion. It is an entity that does not care about you. It does not organize in the same way that humanity organizes. It does not find comfort in fellowship. It does not find comfort in brotherhood. It does not find comfort in liberty. Quite the opposite, guys. Quite the opposite. So what you're seeing is a miracle. What you're seeing this man stand up in front of people and say, in the current day in America, if you would have told me 10 years ago that this would one day be the case and I would be witnessing an American president stand up and talk to people about how my gun rights are unusurpable, I would have called you a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist. And that's flat out the truth. Because the control mechanism that you guys are going up against and standing up against is phenomenal, and it goes back centuries and centuries and centuries. And the control mechanism is real. And the depravity and the depths of this control mechanism are unfathomable by most compassionate, kind-hearted, loving human beings. Unfathomable. So what we're going to uncover and what we're going to be seeing in the future, which could be 6 months, it could be a year, it could be longer, it could be less. Doesn't matter. It needs to unfold as we discover with the rest of our brethren out there. Our brethren who are currently unaware need to learn a lot of this stuff in real time. And so we have to bring it to them a piece at a time. And I'm telling you what, anybody that's out there that were of the area where I grew up, who thought that all hope was lost for our republic being saved, well, I can tell you that they're contacting me and telling me that they are proud of Mr. Trump. And they are proud to think that this man is standing up there and he is actually making moves, making signs, making statements for you. I mean, if you think they're not coming for your firearms, they are coming. In many districts across America, we have sheriffs in Colorado who are saying that I will not confiscate guns and I will allow you to lock me up if you tell me to go out and confiscate guns. This is our front line. The sheriffs are our front lines, guys. The sheriff is the president of your county. You need to get involved in who is your sheriff. You need to vet your sheriff. And the next sheriff election, you need to figure out who is the person that's going to stand up for your gun rights, because that's the only person that can. And the president is the sheriff of America. And he is currently doing something that I have never witnessed a man do in that position in my entire life. I can't even remember a time where I can go back and watch a clip of any president in the modern era saying anything close to what that man said today and what it meant to you and to me and to all of Americans. That's why we're here. That's why we're on this wall. That's who we are. That's what we stand for. All of this stuff about the coup, the overthrow, all of that. Treason, guys. Sedition and treason, usurpation of giving aid to the enemy. All of them. The media. Jim Acosta giving aid to the enemy. Adam Schiff giving aid to the enemy. Swalwell, aid to the enemy. Harris, aid to the enemy. Waters, aid to the enemy. Pelosi, Schumer, McCabe, Strzok, Page, Orr. Should I keep going? That's not even half of them. This is what has happened. This is real. And I cannot begin to emphasize the importance of this. And I cannot begin to emphasize the importance of you people here with us today. The people that join Matrixxx and I on our show every day. The people that tweet to us, oh, it's amazing information. We can't see it all. We're being blocked 6 ways to Sunday between all of you. Where's the information? I don't know. Here's the information. Let's move it around. Let's get it. We've got the QSN set up over there. So many people coming there where they can move information around more freely. More people seeing your stuff. And then share it. Take it out and share it. But that is the organization. There's no other way to look at it than that. The organization is us. The organization is what we witnessed today, Matrixxx, on the Matrixxx Groove Hour with Severe. That is what we are. That is what you are. We're a community, and whenever we need to lend a hand, we do. And when we need to stretch an arm out to pull a brother up, we do. If we live in that reality, then I'm telling you, we are unstoppable. There is no force that can mess with a vibration that is of the frequency of love. It can't touch you. It does not exist. There is no antithesis. There is no opposite. There is no pull away from. All you need to do is become that spirit. And the way we become that spirit is by protecting our families and our way of life. And that is America. And that is freedom to speak, to sit behind a microphone, to share, to be friends with, and to talk about things like why the government is so stupid. Let me tell you, go to Bulgaria or some other country over there. Go to Egypt and start talking. Get yourself a bullhorn and go out there on the street and start screaming about how stupid the government is. See how long you last. I promise you, you won't last very long. And we got plenty of them here that are screaming nonsense, but we let them scream it, don't we? We let them scream it. And that is good. It is healthy. The government shouldn't interfere with that. You should be allowed to scream your ideas, because if you scream your ideas, maybe someone will scream theirs back at you, and then you get into a conversation or a debate, not a fight. We want to debate. Freedom of speech means freedom to debate, not freedom to tear each other down because you don't agree with what the other person says. It isn't us. It isn't the idea. That's the antithesis of the idea. That's division. Doesn't matter what you do. Doesn't matter what you think. Doesn't matter.
But Shady, you wore red shoes one day.
Exactly.
You know?
And then you can tear somebody down for that. You can tear somebody down for minuscule things that are, I'm seeing all the Q people out there, everybody that's bringing a real voice to Q, Praying Medic, Jordan Sather, Lisa May, Storm is Upon Us, all you wonderful Anons out there that are working every day to bring this under relentless attack from people who, A, claim that Q doesn't exist, and B, claim that they have the rule book on Q. Both wrong. And all of you wonderful Anons staying true to Q are right. And Matrixxx, you're right. And your voice has been paramount, my friend. Your voice in this movement has changed the world. Okay? And I'm humbled to be a part of it. I'm humbled to be here with all of these wonderful people out there in the chat. I'm humbled to have been chosen to walk this time with all of you. There's so much going on. And there's so many different things that we can capture in this time. But we've got to be united. We cannot continue this if we continue to tear each other apart, rip each other at the seams. And with that, Matrixxx, I'm gonna let you espouse on my craziness.
No, very well said, and super appreciated and humbled to be here with you and with you guys out there in the chat and with the people that we talk to on a daily basis. Shay, I really want to touch on the 37 seconds before he said, our president, that one part of the speech at the end there, where he said, "With God as our witness." Just before that, can you?
I have it queued up. You want me to play it again?
Yeah, but just let me read this first.
Go ahead.
And guys, I want you to listen to this, okay? I want you to listen to what our president just said. He talked about centuries, okay? Centuries. What's centuries old? Maybe the Bible, right? And he said that, basically, I'm going to read this and then I want the president to speak it. So here we go. It's been posted 4 times. I'm going to read 2904 Q post. The armor of God. Finally, be strong in the Lord and in his mighty power. Put on the full armor of God so that you can take the stand against the devil's schemes. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. Therefore, put on the full armor of God so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything to stand, stand firm again, with the belt of truth buckled around your waist, with the breastplate of righteousness in place, and with your feet fitted with the readiness that comes from the gospel of peace. In addition to all of this, take up the shield of faith, with which you can extinguish all the flaming arrows of the evil one. Take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God, and pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers and requests. With this in mind, be alert and always keep praying for all the Lord's people. Q. And I want you to talk. I want you to think about your standing tall and feet. Shady, will you go ahead and play that real quick?
No matter how many centuries go by, no matter how much the world changes, the central drama of human history remains the same. On one side are those who seek power, control, and domination. And on the other side are patriots like those in this hall who stand upright and plant their feet in eternal defense of our liberty. And with God as our witness, we swear today that we will defend our rights, we will safeguard our freedoms, we will uphold our heritage, we will protect our Constitution, and we will make America stronger, prouder, safer, and greater than ever, ever, ever before.
And he has the recipe.
And safer is the armor, guys. Safer is the armor of God. It's a prayer for safety. And in that 37 seconds or so was a shout out to the armor of God, in my opinion. Press 17 if you guys in YouTube chat agree with that. Shady.
I think it was. I think that's exactly what he was telling us. I think this is more of what we were discussing earlier, the one-to-one comms, the idea that we are using Q a little less and the president a lot more. Going to shifting a little bit of the communications here and hearing him say the things that he has been saying, not only about the deep state, guys, but just like that right there. I mean, when have you heard a president ever talk about you like this? I mean, every time, even with George Bush standing on the ashes of 9/11, did anyone take that seriously? Like, it was fake. It was phony. It didn't mean anything. There was nothing to it. No backbone. Slimy. This guy, something totally different, everyone. He is the, he is the anomaly, just like you guys are the anomaly, just like Matrixxx, just like you're the anomaly. Like we're the ones that couldn't be brainwashed, the ones that couldn't be hypnotized, and he couldn't be bought in the same way. And more and more the evidence opens up here. It looks like this was not only a multi-generational plan to destroy America, but a multi-generational plan to save America, with that man right there in mind to bring the hammer, right? I mean, that's what we're doing here. And that is well said, Matrixxx. Thank you so much for presenting that, because I really do feel the connection with that, and our strength as Anons and our strength to this movement is deeply rooted in our faith in our Creator and our other selves out there in humanity.
Eternal defense, and that's what the chat is saying, and that's exactly right. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. It hit me. I was sitting at lunch with my Mama Matrixxx, and I saw this tweet, and I'm like, it just hit me. So and I also have my Armor of God coin in my pocket every day, and it's been a great charm for me. And make sure you guys say it every day too, because we are dealing with evil. Shady, back to you, my brother.
So now we drop back to a couple of the Q posts from the last few days. And like I said, there's only been a few, but the last ones are very relevant to number 44. And I wanted to just kind of go into those real quick. On number 3323, he shares with us a tweet from 44. And he says, this is going to age well. And it's Mr. Obama. And he tweeted, I spy. And we noticed that this is from 2013. And interesting that Q would draw our attention to this because of all of the quote-unquote treason talk that we've just been bringing up and talking about and what you were doing. And now we find out that, well, going back since before 2013, they were directing every single communication from every single American through and looking at everything. Not only the president. The truth of the matter is they weren't really even spying on the president. They put a couple plants in the president's campaign, and so they were pretend the people that I think they put there as the plants knew that they were the plants. And so the funny thing was how they were putting different people up to doing the dirty work so that they could later have the scapegoat to talk about in the media. And it was really interesting, Matrixxx, was how many times in that report from Robert Mueller that we looked at the other day, in this the whole part on obstruction, it's like, how many times did this guy get his information from the media? It is insane. Like, he quotes BuzzFeed, he quotes Yahoo, he's quoting all these news stories about what they said about the president. So Mueller is pointing to news stories that are being written about the president as possible attempts at obstruction from something that doesn't even exist as a crime to begin with. I mean, either this guy is the dumbest prosecutor ever to walk the face of the earth, or he is trying to save his skin at all angles, guys. This president spied on them, spied on almost every candidate, every single candidate out there. Used the IRS, weaponized the CIA, weaponized the NSA, weaponized all of these factions of government to attack Americans. Now look at the timeline. In 2001, we had 9/11, and then we had the Patriot Act. And so we're talking, all of us were standing up and screaming. Matrixxx, I'm sure wherever you were standing up and screaming. Like, we don't want the Patriot Act. No, no, no. Oh, well, we've got to go to war, and they took our buildings down. And like, no, really, you don't want the Patriot Act. No, well, all this for you passed the Patriot Act in 2003, and then you're like 15 years later. We're like, okay, well, they're going to use this against you. No, they won't. They're going to be so good. At 15 years is all it took. Not even 2 full decades. And now you're seeing this being attacked to the president of the United States. And what are we thinking here? What's the two-tiered justice system say to you if the FBI can do what they did to the president? What in the world can they do to you? What did they do to others? Look at this. Look at what the discussion that we're really having. I Spy. Oh yeah, it's some kind of funny right there. So Q brings us to that post, shows us this, talking about number 44. And then another one, here we go, with the Hill article, how the Obama White House engaged Ukraine to give Russia collusion narrative an early boost. Look at this. This is the news coming out, everyone. You saw what happened in Notre Dame this a week and a half ago. You saw what happened in Sri Lanka last weekend over Easter. And then you saw these individuals tweet Easter worshipers. Okay? And I have never in my life seen anything like that before. You're an Easter worshiper, Matrixxx? Have you ever heard of that reference before?
Never.
An Easter worshiper? Well, no, we're not worshiping Easter. Okay, profound statement right there, in my opinion. That is classic avoiding not saying something that is real, which is we are Christians. Christian people are under attack worldwide. If I were to show you the maps, I actually should have gotten those up here, but the maps in Europe showing the amount of attacks on Christian churches is unreal. And I promise you overlay that map over a map from 10, 15 years ago, and it's nowhere close to that. This has to do with the degradation of society. This has to do with bringing people here for diversity. Diversity. You want diversity? This is what you're going to get. You want people that don't adhere to one idea, one nation, then you're going to get a bunch of people standing around acting like we don't need a border to have a country to the most free country on the planet where everybody else that lives anywhere else would want to come here. Except for it seems like the people that are here and that are, the millennial age, the younger age, the Antifa people, what are you complaining about? Go be Antifa in Germany and see where that gets you. Go be Antifa in Japan. See where that gets you. You have the right to speak here, but you do not have the right to take others' rights away. And you do not have the right to hurt them. And what you're being shown here is a mob mentality. They have taken the moral ground, so they pretend and use the moral ground to attack people with. That is the absolute opposite of what our system is supposed to be and who we're supposed to be. So right now, here you see this week how the Obama White House engaged Ukraine. Well, this is going to be the tip of the iceberg. Hugh is pointing us to this because of, I think, what's going on with Joe Biden and his son, and you're also going to be able to connect John Kerry's son-in-law to what went on in Ukraine. And Joe Biden, who just got in the race today, is on record with talking about how he held $1 billion over their heads and said, "Okay, well, if you don't fire the prosecutor that's investigating us, then we're going to take the billion." You don't care to say that on camera. Power. Recognize what we're looking at. Stand up and talk about what you're tired of in all of this, because Q is helping us in a way that none of us could have imagined he would have, or anyone would have. And in the last post that Q made just yesterday, why would a president of the United States assign Renegade as his USSS code name? Fine, Renegade. Noun, a person who deserts, betrays an organization, country, or set of principles. Synonyms: traitor, specter, deserter, turncoat, betrayer. Adjective: renegade. Having treacherously changed allegiance. Q. Having treacherously changed allegiance. That is a low bar considering the swamp we have been dealing with and the amount that we have been sold out to the rest of the world. We've been sold out. And we've been sold out for quite a long time. A little bit over 100 years now, really sold out. And we're hanging on by the skin of our teeth here to say we got to piece it back together. And what the president is doing with coming in here like a brain surgeon, which is really what I see that he's doing, Matrixxx. It's brain surgery, right? We're cutting out this little piece and we're trying to separate that, and we're trying to keep the whole together, but then we're removing this over here, and this is cancerous here. This has got to go, but we need to keep the emotional functions and keep the financial functions afloat while we do this. And look at the market. What is it, like 3.2% growth reported, after every person in the media said we're never going to get to 1.6, and then on the evening news they're on there giving the past administration credit for the current economy, just like clockwork. You can't make this stuff up. It's pretty insane. And with that, I'm going to maybe I'll let you talk to that a minute if you've got anything to say, while I try to find something else here to talk about.
Yeah, I just want to, so Obama's bad Iran deals, Obama's bad Paris Accord, Obama's bad crap for our country made this economy better. Just think about that, guys.
It makes no sense.
It's not going to happen. It makes no sense. And, it's just amazing what we've been through, even just this week. It's been an amazing news week. We've seen governors and mayors and perp walks, and one of the middlemen of the pharmaceutical companies perp walked. We've seen boxes come out of mayors' houses. Yep. We've seen Illinois governors. It's happening, guys.
Yep. And that's exactly right.
It is happening. We had our president yesterday on Sean Hannity. If you did not watch that 45 minutes,
incredible,
44 some odd minutes, watch it and listen to Enough is Enough. Listen to Bigger Than Watergate. Listen to These People Are Sick. This is an amazing interview. It basically was an overview to all Q posts, and in my opinion, he has been setting the stage with all of the speaking engagements that he had today. There's one that I saw today, and he's talking about this is treason, and he's talking about pre-step. He's talking about all the people that we've been talking about for the past 16 months. Okay, he's saying that there's indictments coming. He's saying this is happening. This is happening, guys. This is not just some guy named Q, a 16-year-old in a basement, a LARP that nobody can dox for whatever reason, so they got to dox everybody else. This is real, guys. This is no joke. This is war. This is an information war. You guys are digital soldiers, and you guys are doing a great job. And you're red-pilling your friends, and you're red-pilling your family. Some of our families are going to, shun us. But just wait, guys. Just be patient. Love is patient. Love is kind. And we don't need to yell at them if we don't agree with them, like certain, talk show hosts want you to do. We need to be patient. We need to be kind. We need to be the calm before, during, and after the storm.
Very, very, very well said, and that is our message, and that's the message that is going to be that's the message that's going to be the final straw in this. And, our unity will not go away. We've watched it develop over the last year with all these great anons out there, and none of them think any differently today than they did 6 months ago. No, nobody's coming off the wall. we're all laser focused out here, man. I tell you, and there's a lot of adjustments
Yeah,
to
and
do.
where we go one, we go all.
That's right.
And that means everybody. And I don't care about people's funding scams. It doesn't bother me, whatever. Just, we are going to get our country back. We're going to get our republic back, whether you like it or not.
We're going to go get it. And just to speak a little bit to what he was saying, this was one clip that Q wanted us to pay attention to from Mr. Joe DeGenova. I want to play a minute or two of this real quick, just to give you an idea of, also with Bob Woodward. Bob Woodward sure is pivoting. But here's a little clip that Q wanted you guys to see. Nope. Maybe not on that one. Oh, now they've taken it away. Well, that played right before the show, and now they've taken it away. But that was Joe DeGenova actually talking about what Matrixxx was just speaking about the indictments that are going to come down, about the Horowitz report, about the Huber report, and about all of that information. He is talking directly to it. But I was going to go from that to this, but instead of going from that to this, I'll just tell you what that was and then move to this, because this is something that I went into on the Matrixxx Grooove Hour the other day, maybe yesterday, but it's very important. I don't want a secret court. Matrixxx, do you want a secret court?
I don't. No. I want transparency.
I want transparency. I don't like secret courts. I don't like people being able to go to a courtroom and say, hey, Yahoo News wrote this and I want a warrant to surveil an American citizen. That is just a little bit ridiculous. So part of what I want to do is for everyone to think about the idea of the FISA court system and how, if we were to restructure things, we would do things without this. That's the kind of goal here. We want transparency. And notice I wanted to bring attention to right here. It says in 2013, a top secret order issued by the court, which was later leaked to the media. Documents culled by Edward Snowden required a subsidiary of Verizon to provide a daily ongoing feed of all call detail records, including those for domestic calls to the NSA. So interestingly enough, this is registered right about the same time that number 44 was talking about he's so excited about e-spies. Interesting thing there. I don't need a FISA court. Don't want a FISA court. This is not part of a constitution. You can't show me any place in the Constitution that says there should be a secret court. And if anything, you can point to everything in the Constitution that says there should not be a secret court. That's what it's based on. So, I'm an anon that doesn't much like that.
Don't these judges take oaths to the Constitution?
Yes, they do. And they seem to be not paying attention to them. This was...
How do you define Constitution?
Yeah, what is a Constitution? So here we have a couple things I want to bring your attention to. Right here is a picture of Michelle O. And this is interesting, and I'm just going to show you this blow up real quick, and I'm going to point your attention to the wine or the champagne glass right there as she sips it, and look right there under her nose just to the left, and you will see the cathedral at Notre Dame burning right in front of her. Watches it. And I would like for you guys to go to find And We Know and check out the last Serial Brain episode, because that was eye-opening. And Q has told you guys, and we're getting close to the point now, but he has told you multiple times, if you do have the choice not to know. And the things that we're getting ready to move into discussing are going to be some pretty disturbing stuff. And if you watch that most recent Serial Brain, you will get a little bit of an idea of how things are rated, such as the emotional state of people or beings when their adrenochrome is harvested, and the different categories that they put it in, and the different lines of kings who get access to the different categories of this stuff. So very, very interesting from Serial Brain. But the truth is, they're poisoning you. The truth is, they're spying on all of us. And the truth is, they cannot be trusted. Natural news article. Scientist of the Year arrested, charged with 35 counts of child porn. Many science skeptics are pedophiles. Wow. Professor of chemistry at Portland, Oregon, reportedly been arrested and charged with 35 counts related to child pornography. Matrixxx just talked about the mayor, a Texas mayor, just arrested for voter fraud. Also, the Baltimore mayor just arrested. Also, the Illinois governor under indictment, all for money laundering and fraud and voter fraud and all of these different things. We have all these people that are standing up there in universities and trying to tell you that they know better than you what it is that you need out of your life. Then we step into the spying. I spy. Here you go. Microsoft discovers drivers allowing backdoor hacks into laptops. I mean, really, guys? We're going to sit around and we're going to just continue to tolerate this stuff?
Discover that Huawei has a driver that allows backdoor hacks, so to speak, into certain laptops. Now, this has been a company that has been at the center of a long-running scandal that accuses China of spying on Western establishments. Now, they're saying that it's facing criticism once again after this discovery of a backdoor-like vulnerability into the MateBook laptop series. Now, they go on to say here that this was picked up and discovered by Windows Defender Advanced Threat Protection, or ATP, and its kernel sensors.
So everything, all of your devices, all of it is compromised one way or another. Myth of unbiased search engine from Google. Facebook quietly confirming millions of unencrypted Instagram password exposed. Change yours now. Guys, U.S. authorities target Zuckerberg as Facebook buries huge Instagram password breach. Just a couple of weeks ago, weren't they reporting just a couple of weeks ago that they had been storing everyone's passwords in text format for Facebook? I mean, what are you talking about here? You know, what is the product, you guys? You guys got to start talking to the people that are addicted to Facebook out there that think that they somehow are the product. The product is your data. What they're selling is your data, and you don't have any recourse whatsoever to say you want it sold or you don't want it sold. Facebook demanding some users' email passwords. This is another thing. People on Facebook getting emails a couple of weeks ago from Facebook corporate saying that they wanted your password to the email you signed up for Facebook with. What? What? Oh, no, that was sent out accidentally. We didn't mean... You gotta be kidding me, guys. This is not funny, and this is really, really escalated to a point where our liberties have got to be addressed. We have got to start standing up for ourselves and for America, everyone. And so Matrixxx and I have been working extremely hard on intheMatrixxx.com. And our idea of this website was to bring you guys together to a place where you can show and you can talk to your friends and they can understand where you are and what's going on. We have just recently got, within the last couple of weeks, the Q Post site. Thank you, Webmaster Q. My goodness, how amazing is this site here now? And that's what I was showing you earlier. This is the Q Post site connected to intheMatrixxx.com right there at the tab. But we have multiple search features on here, including being able to search for multiple words, being able to search for specific posts, being able to search for multiple posts at the same time. You can turn the order around right here, just one click of the button right there, and it turns the order of the posts around where they start at number one. And you can start at number one and read them. And from the website here, we've got new to Q, the crumbs, the comms, the Q Army Social Network, Q Army News Networks. Guys, we have t-shirts here and we have other stuff where you can help us. We really appreciate everything. The amount of support that we have gotten is tremendous. And I'd just like to say a real quick shout out to Webmaster Q for getting this underneath us so quickly and so efficiently to be able to bring people to the conversation for us.
You know, Shady, I just spoke with Webmaster Q tonight, and we're going to be getting Donald Trump tweets as well. But we're not only going to have Donald Trump tweets, we're going to have the deleted tweets as well, and what the tweets were replaced with. So
and the
stay
deltas.
tuned. We're going to be rolling that out next week. So it's going to be much more agile than any other Q Post aggregator. And this is not taking away from any of the other Q Post aggregator. They're all amazing. You know, I just hope that people come give us a try because the search functions that we have are top notch. You can also download the Q posts as well and save them and archive them. And every time Q posts, you can replace that file with this file, the new file. So you'll always have the Q posts
offline,
local, archive offline.
And so now we're going to be able to have where you can show the Trump tweets and how they line up and the deltas, and have the more information. That's what we're trying to do. We're jockeying for position. We're trying to get as much information on here as we possibly can, because that is the quickest way to red pill. I have seen some people get red pilled fast, Matrixxx, in the last 6 months. I mean, come from really not understanding anything about Q to, oh my gosh, this is 1,000-year-old cabal that's controlling humanity. It took me forever to figure that out in the 90s whenever I didn't have an internet.
Centuries and centuries. Exactly, man. Yes, exactly. You're absolutely right. and this is coming, quite the movement. Also down in the description in the video here, down below, we've got Chrome extensions and Firefox extensions where, like, let's say you're on the POTUS Twitter feed and you want to go ahead and say, hey, he just said boom. You can highlight boom, right click, and go see all Q posts that say boom.
Right to the site.
Check that out too.
This has been a pretty fun endeavor, Matrixxx. I would, I'm going to take just a second to talk to the fans out there and tell them, that we are doing something that has never been attempted in history before, and we are working with people who have the same goal in mind, and that is freedom. And we're not going to stop short of freedom. And I'm hoping that the red pilling is going good out there, everyone. And I really appreciate anyone who has suggestions or comments or improvements or things like that that's on your mind. We're an open book here, so please reach out to either of us. Send us an email, get under a tweet, ask a question. All these great mods that are out there in the chat tonight, ask a question while you're in it. Don't hesitate to. There are no dumb questions. There are just dummies who think socialism is a good idea. That's who we're fighting. And so to bounce around, and a couple other things I want to get to real quick, Matrixxx, and then we're going to have to wrap this up out here. There's been lots of mysterious booms in the past week. Going back, I know you guys have been tracking the booms, but we got booms just recently in Birmingham. We got booms in Fair Oaks, California, Panama City, Florida, just in the last couple of weeks, Trinity, North Carolina, Cleveland, Ohio, 417, more in Cleveland. So interesting here, Suffolk, UK, 425-19, more mysterious booms starting to pick up within the last few weeks to get more rapidly happening. And what we all assume is that this is going on under the ground, and we do know the tunnels and all of the infrastructure that is underground. A lot of us are thinking they're going after them down there, and I'm more than happy to stand idly by and let them take to them as much as they want. But that's another interesting thing that I wanted to get through, and I never ever get to everything that I want. And last week, or week before last, I wanted to play this gentleman, Tony Paul, and I wanted to play this tweet that he put up that really kind of speaks to all of us here. Let's share this for a minute.
They fought and died for you and me. Did it all unselfishly. We should honor them every chance we get, and let us try and not forget. To the ones that died on the battlefield, every drop of blood that's spilled, we thank you for the life you gave. You're the heroes of the USA. There's no greater love than to lay down your life for me. There's no words that I can say, but thank you so that I could be free. They fought and died for you and me. They did it all unselfishly. We thank you for the life you gave. You're the heroes of the USA. You'll always be the heroes of the USA.
All of those selfless heroes out there, we honor your spirit. We honor your endurance. We honor your service. And we honor your love of country. And we honor our president. And we are so thankful for him to be speaking up for these fine folks out there who did lay down their lives, who laid down not only their lives if they didn't come back, but they laid down their lives if they came back wounded and injured. Guys, we're losing 20 a day. 20 veterans a day are committing suicide and thinking that there's a better way. That's not freedom, not liberty. Struggle and strife. And humanity does not exist in that realm. Power forces the realm upon us through stealing and robbing you. And they're stealing and robbing lives every day. And they've been doing it in the Middle East for 20 years almost now. There's a lot of sick, hurt, wounded individuals out there that I'd like to highlight, and I'd like to say thank you. And I'd like to say that there is a better country coming. There is a better choice coming. And please, please stand down if those thoughts are encroaching on you, gentlemen. Please stand down. Please recognize that whatever turmoil you're going through right now, that one day, soon, you're going to have the opportunity to implement your plans for love and for a future and for invention and for creativity, whatever those were. Find light in those things that were you before you left these shores, before you went somewhere else and got torn asunder. You're valuable to us. You're valuable to all of us. All of you are. Veterans, Anons, all of you. Humanity, come to the conversation. Bring pain to those who harm the innocent. That is what this microphone is for. That is what I'm using this microphone for. And I am asking all of you out there that hear my voice, echo it within the circles that are your friends and loved ones. Echo it, even if no one wants to hear it. Because they deserve to be spoken for. You deserve to be spoken for. And America is worth speaking for. We come to you with humility. Amen. And I appreciate, Matrixxx, I appreciate everything that you've brought to this movement. I appreciate your camaraderie. I appreciate your fight for justice because it mirrors mine, sir. And these people that we're highlighting right there in this moment, that's the same spirit they left here with. It's the same. It's the same as all of us that are fighting this. You don't have to pick up a firearm, but you should pick up a Twitter. You should pick up the YouTube, pick up a microphone, pick up whatever. Use your voice. Be creative. Stand in your brilliance. Stand in your moment. Stand in your life. Stand in your light. And bring those people home. Bring them home. I don't want them in Singapore. I don't want them in North Korea. I don't want them in South Korea. I don't want them in Japan. I don't care. Bring them home. It's time to fix America. And your president is doing that. So please support him. Please support him. Because we know that he is standing up for us. And we have seen enough. And there's no longer a question. And then we're getting to move into an election cycle where they're already saying Joe Biden is 47-40 to beat your president. It ain't not going to happen, everyone.
I'm sorry.
If the fantasy world has ensued, Matrixxx.
Oh my gosh, that guy's got so many skeletons in his closet. He needs more closet.
He's sniffing the skeleton's hair. Is that what you're saying?
He just needs more closets, man.
Well, man, I think that was a pretty amazing show, Matrixxx. If you have some parting words, please share with these guys. They really love you, and they follow you around everywhere, and they've really been so, so kind to all of us, and I can't say enough about them. I could probably sit here all night and keep talking about them if you wanted me to.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so very, very humbled. Thank you. I never thought I'd be here today with you. Before Q, I just was getting back on the couch watching Netflix and just giving up. And this has given us a new power. We, the people, are taking the power back. We're realizing our power. We're understanding it. We're taking to Twitter. We're, like, Shady said, we're talking to our families and we're talking to people, and we're thanking the great people that have fought and died for this country. I think there were some amazing coincidences this week. We played that Shot Around the World regarding the Revolutionary War, and all of a sudden you hear Shot Around the World speech. I mean, there's just so many things. I mean, I'm sure it's all coincidence or synchronicities or whatever you want to call it, but we're on the same page is what I'm saying. We're on the same page with our president of the United States of America. Q or no Q. Q is amazing, and I will keep decoding Q. I'll keep following Q. But it's about this president. It's about the evil ones that are trying to take our country and keep it. And we're going to take it back because you and I forgot our power, and we're now just realizing that we have it back. And with that, Shady, God bless you. God bless you guys all out there in YouTube chat. I love you very much. And I will still, with Shady, myself, be true to our movement, the Q movement, the Q phenomena that we're witnessing. I'm going to be true to POTUS. I'm going to be true to you, be true to myself, because that is what you guys need to be true to yourself. You guys need to think for yourself. This is the Great Awakening. Gosh, Blue Eyes with her song, We've Awakened. We sure have, guys. And with that, Shady, I just want to thank you one more time. And YouTube, thank you. Thank you for all your support, Severe and on. I got a message from JT Wild saying, tell Shady I love him. And what he did tonight was absolutely amazing. And he may or may not have had a tear. Okay. You did a phenomenal job, Shady, as you always do. And I'm going to hand it back to you, brother. And, this Q Lounge Live is an amazing show. And thank you for bringing I'm addicted to the Q Lounge Live. Press 45 if you're addicted to Q Lounge Live.
Give me the 45s, guys. I can't take enough of it. I can't get enough of your energy, and I can't get enough of this guy right here. This guy knows what he's talking about, and he is ready to bring pain. All the great moderators out there, what an amazing group. Jay-Z, all of you people, you just got me baffled here. I'm probably going to break down after the show, but I got to get through this. Please, everyone, feel free to post in the YouTube comments down below. If someone asks a question, do not hesitate to give them an answer. If you can't answer them, you find one of us. Maybe one of us can answer them. We got lots of great moderators out there. Write your questions down. Hold them for the next time. Doesn't matter. We are trying to answer. We are here. We are here to spread the notion that there is a clear line between the truth and the lie. And the lie is that they are the global elite. The truth is that you're the global elite. The truth is that you're the ones that have the power. We, the people, are the power. We are standing up. We protect freedom. We protect liberty. You can say what you want about anybody else, but we are standing in our power for the first time in a long time, guys. Together, 45 stands with you and me. Together, we stand for liberty, and we are going to see this fight all the way to the end. I want to thank real quick all the wonderful, great, madly genius citizen journalists out there. Jordan Say, the Praying Medic, Serial Brain, iPod, SGT Report, We the People Insider, 1776, Neon Revolt, Joe M with the Twitter, man, just bringing pain, Lisa Mae Crowley, Dustin Nemos, Blue Eyes with the music, JT Wild with Where We Go When We Go, X22 Report, Severe Anon, Anon Decoder, Blessed to Teach, Lionel Media, Soylent Greens out there, Stormy Patriot Joe, Jay-Z Knight. Well, we have so many great anons coming from this conversation, and I'm telling you one thing, that winning has never felt so good. The day has never looked any brighter. You guys have never been more beautiful, and today we win again. Thanks so much for coming over on this Friday night to the Q Lounge Live. This is Shady Grooove for In the Matrix and I. What a wonderful time to be alive, and we will see you Monday on the Matrixx Groove Hour at 1 p.m. Check us out at intheMatrixx.com with 3 X's anytime. Get over there, guys. Get on that site. We love you, and we can't get enough of you. And we will see you real soon, Anons. Good night.